My older sisters are 3 years older than me, and that's a little redundant, isn't it? My older sisters would hardly be 3 years younger than me, would they? My older twin sisters, who now have 6 twins between the two of them. 3 sets is what I mean. And I have cousins who are triplets. We Mollies, we arrive in the world with our own posses. My older sisters were born when my dad was working at an investment bank in New York City, and he would come home and my mom would say, "The twins are about to go to bed. Would you spend some time with them? Just like read to them?" And he would say, I'm so tired. I just wanted to sit for a moment and read the Wall Street Journal. And my mom would say, "Great, here they are. Read them the Wall Street Journal." And so he would have one on one knee and one on the other, and he would spread out the Wall Street Journal, and he would spend some quality time with his new twin girls, saying, "The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 6 points on expectation that Asian debt would rise in the next year, and the commodities market," and I always thought that, and my sisters would sit there, "This is our dad." They didn't understand a word, of course, they were young. When do babies learn to talk? Really, like communicate, past mama, dada? Like 2? Okay, so when my sisters were 1.5, they were out on a winter ride. They'd gone for a walk. This is not a poem, this is just me talking. And my dad was pulling the 2 of them on a sled behind him as it began to snow. And suddenly he heard my sister Adair start going, "Boo! Boo! 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 Boo!" And he went, What's wrong? Are you okay? You warm? He goes, "Oh, what happened to your boot?" "Boot? You're missing a boot?" And 30 feet back on the trail was her boot, beginning to be covered up with the snow. Had they gotten all the way back to the house, and he had realized then that my sister had a frostbitten foot, it would have been springtime before they found the boot before. And I love this story because my sister was sitting there being pulled by the sled, and her boot comes off, and she figures the big caregiver, not the food source, but the other one, will notice and will get it for me. And then she realizes, "Oh, shoot. He doesn't know that I lost my..." Oh, I almost know the word for this thing. Oh, it's like a sound. It sounds like boo. It's like a boo sound, right? She's probably knocking my other sister. Like, "What is it? What does it work? What is it? The thing on the foot that I just lost. It's like a boo. It's like a boo." And it worked. And that's probably why, when she realized, oh, this talking thing, this is important. We learn, there's only one way to learn. And that we learn by approximation, which means you fake it for a while until you realize, oh, I'm actually doing something. I don't have children of my own, but I know that when they talk, they start, okay, you guys are all making noises and you're communicating with each other, so I want to try some of this myself, okay? So I'll be like, did I say anything? Does that mean anything? And eventually they stumble on dada and realize, oh, okay, all right, that's you. And when I was before I knew how to write, me and Bobby Gallagher he would come over and we would take paper and we would just scribble on it and go to my mom and go, did we get anything? Does that say anything? She would say, well, this is like, it says It's like, does that mean, is that a word? Can I use that in Scrabble? You learn by approximation. How does one gain confidence? You pretend you have it until you realize, oh, I'm not pretending anymore. And there's really only one way to teach, and that is by example. This poem is called Tony Steingberg, brave 7th grade Viking warrior. Based in truth, of course. Have you ever seen a Viking ship made out of popsicle sticks and balsa wood? Coils of brown thread for the ropes, 16 oars made out of chopsticks, a red and yellow striped sail made from a ripped piece of a little baby brother's footy pajamas? I have. He died with his sword in his hand, and so went straight to heaven. The Vikings often buried their bravest warriors in ships, or set them adrift and on fire, a floating island of flame, the soul of the brave warrior rising slowly with the smoke. In order to understand life in Scandinavia during the time of the Middle Ages, you have to understand the construction of the Viking ship. So here's what I want the class to do. I want you all to build me one miniature Viking ship. You have a month to complete this assignment. You can use whatever materials you want, but you have to work together like warriors. These are the projects that I am known for as a history teacher, like the Greek Shield Project, or the Marshmallow Catapult Project, or the Medieval Castle of Chocolate Cake. Actually, that one was a disaster. But there was the Egyptian Pyramid Project. Have you ever seen a family of 4 gathered around a card table after dinner, each one holding a triangular side of a miniature cardboard Egyptian pyramid until the glue finally dries? I haven't either. But Mrs. Steinberg said that it took 90 minutes! And even with the little brother on one side saying, "This is the stupidest pyramid I've ever seen, Tony. If I get Mr. Molly next year, my pyramid will be designed in such a way that it will not necessitate that we stand here for 90 minutes while the glue dries." And Tony on the other side saying, "Shut up! Shut up, you idiot! If you let go before the glue dries, I'm going to disembowel you with your Sony PlayStation." It was the best family time that they had spent together since Hanukkah. He died with his sword in his hand and so went straight to heaven. Mr. Molly, if that's true, if a Viking died with his sword in his hand, he went straight to Valhalla. Do you think if you were like an old Viking and you were about to die of old age, you could keep your sword right by your bed, so if you ever felt like, I think I'm about to die, you could reach out and grab your sword and still go to Valhalla? Do you think anybody ever, did that? If I were a Viking god, I don't think I would fall for that. But if I were an old Viking about to die of old age, that's pretty much exactly what I would do. You're a genius. He died with his sword in his hand and so went straight to heaven. Tony Steingberg had been missing from school for 6 weeks before we finally found out what was wrong. And the 12 other boys in the class whispered the name of his disease, as if you could catch it from saying it too loud. We'd been warned. The head of the middle school had come to class and said that Tony was coming to school on Friday, but he's had a rough time, he said. The medication he's taking has made all of his hair fall out, so nobody stare, nobody point, nobody laugh. I always said that I liked teaching in a private school, because I could talk about God in the classroom and not be breaking any federal laws. And I sure talk about God a lot in the classroom. Yes, in history class, that's easy. Even the Egyptian Pyramid Project is essentially a spiritual undertaking. But how can you teach math and not believe in a God? a God of perfect points and planes, surrounded by right angles and archangels of varying degrees. Such a God would not give cancer to a 7th grade boy, would not make all of his hair fall out from chemotherapy, totally bald, in a jacket and tie on Friday morning, and I don't just mean Tony Steingberg. Not one single boy in my class had hair that day. The other 12 had all shaved their heads in solidarity. Have you ever seen 13 bald-headed 7th graders, all pointing at each other, all staring, all laughing? I have. And it's a beautiful sight. Almost as striking as 12 7th grade boys, 1 month later, now with crew cuts, standing in a circle outside the synagogue after the memorial service, heads bowed, holding hands, surrounding the smoldering remains of the class's miniature Viking ship, which they have set on fire. The soul of the brave warrior rising slowly with the smoke.